My goodness, this is terrible. There is so much bad in this. Hi there, my name's David Ronning of the London Longsword Academy. I'm a full-time swordsmanship instructor, and today I'm going to have a look at a load of clips about sword fighting and slag them off hideously. That's quite nice because in effect you have a very nasty version of a movement of conclusion. And this is basically where, in using a sword to parry here, we then do something with the offhand. If we were doing Eddard, the idea would be to restrain the opponent's weapon hand so we can control it and we can choose whether they live or die, and we can show mercy at this point. If you're doing this, this is lovely. He doesn't have to worry about the guy's offhand so much because the guy has both hands on the sword. There's a closure off of the line, and the guy giving him the distance, because he doesn't have to move his feet, the guy's going to come and hit him anyway. He gets to push it aside, he gets to thrust through, he's got control of the opponent's sword still, and he gets to finish him. So that I actually quite like, that's pretty good. I'm not entirely sure holding your hand palm down with a longsword is a good way not to get the sword taken out. Oh my goodness, this is terrible. There is so much bad in this. Again, we're back on this idea that if you've got a longsword, you have to do this with it, and it has to be wide and spinny, and it has to be these big moves. It's meant to be dexterous. You have this idea that there's basically half an L, the idea of being this kind of space here, rather halfway between here and here. You don't want to be more than this way, far away from your opponent with the point at all times. So if they drive you away, you're trying to find a way to get your point onto them. Most longsword is intrinsically trying to dominate a space very close into the core of your opponent. If they move you sufficiently around, you're immediately back at another opening. If they stay tight on the blade and the angle's tight, just enough to parry like so, you'll try and drive the blade in, still maintaining contact on that. All this wide around movement is complete nonsense. Okay, knocking the blade down and striking back up. Now, you could argue that this is almost a nodding in effect. The idea of beating someone's blade down and then hitting back up with the false edge. Here you see where the sword is sweeping wide and one person is standing with their point right in front of the other. You don't parry, then come back here. You stand here and you stab them immediately because the blade has moved out of presence. Well, that was good. Yep. If someone has got their back to you and you have a spear, do stab them in the back of the leg. That, again, redeeming feature, that's given another point.